Hey guys, this is Sam from the CamelCast podcast, back at y'all with another episode. Here with the co-host Jaden. Say hello, Jaden.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of CamelCast podcast. Today we are going to start off back again with the impeachment inquiry because I think it's deserving of us talking about it every week because there's going to be new updates about it consistently. So let's get started. So this week, impeachment has continued to roll on, and really supporters started to grow for it.
Yeah, and Trump has been getting kind of worried about this whole thing. He has launched several anti-Biden ads, which honestly, I think it's a good political strategy for him short term. I don't know how it will help him out for long term. Because even though Trump has, been messing with, the guy from Ukraine, he's been, talking to him on the phone, and there's been a whole bunch of corruption, he is right in saying that Biden's son also had some very shady dealings in Ukraine. He's been getting thousands of dollars, a month, from this weird Ukrainian energy company, which I don't even know how it happened. How did he have anything to do with Ukraine? I have no idea. So there's definitely something shady going on there. But I think, Trump is going to lose his political position because of this, even though he is making some good short-term strategies.
Now, you just touched on Biden's son. And so, for those of you who didn't know, Joe Biden wanted that prosecutor fired, not because he was investigating his son's company or to help his son, but because he wasn't investing in corruption enough. So he was not spending enough time worrying about corruption in Ukraine, and this includes investigating Joe Biden's son's company.
Yeah. So basically, if y'all know, there was this really corruptish, sketchy prosecutor guy. So basically, yeah, he was First Energy Company, and eventually, the politicians in Ukraine, because they recently elected a new president. By the way, I think their new president used to be a famous comedian or something. It's kind of cool and interesting. So yeah, their previous president, and politicians and stuff, they fired the prosecutor who was, they said he was corrupt or something, which I do believe it was true. But I have a theory that maybe Trump, because we know that Trump has some sketchy relations with Russia, and on that computer, Russia has sketchy relations with Ukraine. So he's basically looking at all the stuff, and then he finds out the whole Biden thing, and he's like, okay, I'm going to find out more about this, and that's, I think, how the phone call started. And, the means by which he wanted to get the information.
Yeah. There's been a lot of new updates, with impeachment. It's kind of all over the place. Trump has been continuing to deny his call, and just to get into more kind of crazy stuff with the Trump administration, his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, his associates were arrested, and Trump basically has been denying that Rudy is his lawyer, and then saying he was his lawyer, then denying it, and then saying he was, and then nobody even knows if Rudy still is his lawyer. It's very interesting.
Okay, one thing we have to admit, just by talking about Rudy Giuliani, I just want to note that Rudy Giuliani is crazy. He's lost his mind. He's insanely old. He's insane. He's I don't even know. He's on a path of mental demise. So basically, it's not normal for him nowadays to say some outright insane and bigoted stuff. And yeah, he's a bit of a wild card for Trump. Just want to add it on. So yeah, continue.
So Sam, it's your turn this week for tips for impeachment. So what are your tips for impeachment?
Oh, all right. So one tip for impeachment is you have to make a good reason to impeach Trump, a legit good reason. And this reason, here's what it has to be. It has to be not just supported by the Democrats. It has to be able to be supported by the Republicans. One amazing way to impeach Trump, in my opinion, is emoluments with Saudi Arabia. Trump has basically, so Saudi Arabia, I say this a lot, has mega cucked Trump. And they gave him so much oil money. They overpay on purpose for their visits at the Trump hotels. In return, Trump gives them weapons and supplies to commit mass genocide in Yemen against the Houthi rebels. This is horrible. And all the Democrats agree that this needs to stop. And by the way, a lot of Republicans also agree that this needs to stop. And what Trump has been doing is, when everyone around him, Democrats, Republicans, tell him to ask Saudi Arabia to stop doing the genocide, Trump barely asked them, and Saudi Arabia said, no, we're going to continue doing it. And then Trump was like, okay, then we're going to continue giving you weapons. This is probably the most impeachable thing that Trump, keeps doing, and I think this would be the best way to impeach Trump.
It's pretty funny to watch the Trump administration completely unfold. For those of you who didn't know, his Homeland Security Secretary resigned, Kevin McAleen, and this is just a week after being booed off stage at Georgetown University. And as we just touched on, Rudy Giuliani's associates were arrested. And Trump just keeps on stacking upon impeachable offenses. Like he said he's not going to comply with the impeachment inquiry. Well, guess what? That's an impeachable offense.
Wait. I just need to say one more thing. This is like a Trump joke. What does MAGA actually stand for?
What?
My attorney got arrested.
Haha.
Yeah.
Well, technically his attorney didn't get arrested.
Well, yeah, but it's just,
It's just weird.
Yeah, it's a joke.
But whatever. Trump has been committing impeachable offense after impeachable offense. I don't think he realizes that every single thing, he's doing all this stuff to try to defend himself and just try to say, I'm innocent, I shouldn't be impeached, this is presidential harassment. And because he can't just say that and try to provide evidence, and instead he's lashing out at people and saying he's not going to comply. That's just two things. That's just a couple of things. First of all, it makes you think he's probably more likely to be guilty considering he refuses to give any proof that he's not. Second of all, it's just not smart. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, these episodes really passed by quickly. I think it's time for our next story already. So, what are we going to talk about?
Okay, so our next story, if you guys didn't know, Turkey has officially invaded Syria.
Well, yeah, part of northern Syria. So, I'll introduce it. So, basically, a few days after Donald Trump withdrew his troops from northern Syria, where U.S. troops have been for 10 years, protecting the Kurds, who have been a key part in fighting ISIS. In fact, they've probably done more to stop ISIS than us. And, they want to, the Kurds, here's what they're trying to do. They want to create a democracy in the Middle East. Well, not real democracy. It's more like a anarchist communist society. It's very weird. But basically, they have this militia where both women and men fight as equals. And they're some of the most progressive, societies in the entire Middle East. And it turns out that the U.S. has just been using them to fight ISIS. And after, ISIS was basically defeated, then they just abandoned the Kurds. They didn't need them. And I would even say we betrayed them. So a few days after, Turkey, because they have a rising nationalist leader who wants to, get rid of the Kurds, he has invaded northern Syria. And he says that it's to put Syrian refugees there, but it's actually to just get rid of the Kurds. So, yeah.
Also, I have a couple things to talk about. First of all, for those of you who didn't know this, and it's probably pretty obvious, the ISIS fighters who were captured in Syria are in Syrian detention centers. Probably quite obvious. But with Turkey invading, the Kurds are not going to have the ability to defend and protect these detention centers. Therefore, a lot of these ISIS fighters are going to get back out. And I don't think anyone thinks that they're going to say, oh, I escaped prison, I'm an ISIS fighter, but you know what? I am going to just be a perfect, great person. Every single one of them. No, that's not going to happen. They're going to reband together, and we're going to have this problem all over again. Also, Trump said in his defense, he was like, well, they didn't help us in Normandy. They didn't help us with fighting the...
Okay, I think the Normandy thing was a joke, but just beyond that.
It was not. Trump doesn't just joke like that.
Well, he does, but anyway, still, continue.
That was serious. Trump, and actually, yes, they did help us in Normandy, and that was 80 years ago. You can't, we were fighting against Germany, yet their political climate has changed, and, they're a great country now that we are, allied with, but obviously they didn't help us in Normandy, but we're not using that against them or against, any other country.
And you have to think about them. The Kurds have historically been one of the most oppressed people groups in history, like up there, one of the most oppressed, along with the Jews. So basically, the Kurds, during the Sykes-Picot Agreement, when European powers decided to divide the Middle East so there would be endless conflict there and that the European countries will remain powerful, so they made sure that the Kurds did not get a state. So they would be really pissed and they would create all this war and conflict in the region. And the Kurds were used often, when the Ottoman Empire did the Armenian genocide, the Ottoman Empire had to use Kurds for slave labor, so they killed Armenians. And this happened many times throughout history. The Kurds have been taken advantage of, used, and been denied a state. But now the Kurds are trying to make that change. They want to create a liberal, progressive, democratic, socialist society. And no other country is letting it happen. And everyone thought that the U.S. was the only country supporting it. Well, guess what? Even the U.S. is backing out. So now the Kurds are being screwed both ways. Always, they're being screwed by ISIS, by Assad, by Erdogan. They're literally being screwed by everyone. So, yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. Sam, so I'll let you talk about this one. So what's our next topic?
Okay, so there have been a few recent cases in the Supreme Court, and it has to do with constitutionality of firing LGBTQ plus people for being LGBTQ plus. So, yeah, basically, there's this huge argument. Some people say that the firing of LGBT people goes against the civil rights and all the amendments that are passed that denies discrimination. But on the right-wing side and the conservative side, they're being very nitpicky and saying that gender identity is separate from gender, and they're trying to make all these cases against them. And it's really kind of a mess of a fight. So, yeah.
Yeah, to discriminate against somebody is terrible. And it's we're having so many issues with that, between racism and anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and all these things that, people are discriminating against people, minorities and people with differences. And it's still happening, and people think that we've just solved the problem. And we clearly haven't, and this is evidence of that.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a bit of a quickie. Now we should move on to our next topic, which is...
So, for those of you who didn't know, Shepard Smith has officially left Fox News. His last newscast was Friday. He was on Fox News for 23 years. And he left because of the climate at Fox News and how, it really wasn't talking about the facts and a lot of stuff like that. And he was getting in arguments with a lot of the other news anchors like Tucker Carlson and all of them.
Yeah, so I understand that the climate of Fox News now is very messy, and I know that Rush Limbaugh, the radio host, he made a very weird commentary about it. He said that Fox News aren't conservative enough because there are too many never-Trump conservatives and there are too many quote-unquote Democrats. There's been a lot of right-wing criticism of Fox News lately, and it's kind of a whole mess, and yeah. It's like a big fight in a right-wing spectrum. I don't know that much about it because, I'm not right-wing. But yeah, there's a supposed big fight going on.
So for those of you who didn't know kind of the way Fox News works, so they have like two different sectors of Fox News. They have their straight news people, and then they have their like perspective people. So the straight news people are like Shepard Smith, the people who literally will just give you the facts and tell you what's happening. And then they have their perspective drama type people, like Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and
Sean Hannity.
The people that when you think about Fox News, the people you actually do think about and really talk about when it comes to Fox News.
Yeah, so honestly, I kind of get more annoyed by the perspective people than the actual news people, because usually when the right-wingers give a perspective, it's kind of a crappy one, so yeah.
I actually really didn't accept Shepard Smith. He gave the facts, he gave perspective, but he gave the facts. He told you the facts, and like, my thing is like, everyone has their political beliefs. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you are, you have your political beliefs. And you're probably gonna let that show in a newscast. And I think the thing is, you can say something's good or bad, but if you're gonna twist facts just to prove you're right, that's no longer news. I think that perspective is okay, but perspective as a beyond, perspective that it becomes a bias, perspective that you change facts just to prove you're right, that's beyond.
Yeah, because I don't have a problem with you stating the facts and taking your own right-wing view on it. I have a problem with making the facts suit your right-wing view and then commentating on it. Like, you can say...
Right. Like, me and you could easily say that Trump is 100% going to be impeached. There's no doubt about it, which there is a big doubt about it, especially passing the Senate with Republicans and Trump supporters. And then we could commentate on that and make all our viewers think an incorrect fact that Trump is going to 100% be impeached.
But yeah, like me as like more, of a leftist person, I could say, okay, Bernie Sanders is definitely 100% going to be president and he's going to eat all the rich people. Like, it's probably not going to happen, but I don't do that. I'm going to say there's I don't know, 40% chance or 30% chance that he's, going to be president, and he's probably not going to eat all the rich people. You can't really distort the facts.
You have to, you can have perspective in news, but you have to tell the fact. You can't create a fact and commentate on that.
Yeah, that's why I don't
If you're creating a fact, this isn't news. The whole point of news is telling the facts. The whole point of reading or listening to the news is that you know what's happening in politics and in the world with crimes and stuff like that. And putting in perspective is kind of how we've gotten in this day, and in our current time we really do put our news in perspective a lot, which is okay, but it goes beyond. It's to the point where we're creating facts, which that's not okay.
Yeah. So, that's the one reason why I really don't like Tucker Carlson. He makes up these very weird and fake and obscure immigration stories. Then he rambles on them rambles about them for like segments and segments and segments. That's why like white supremacists like Richard Spencer and Matthew Heimbach, they love him so much because he distorts the image, and he goes into white supremacist favor, and he makes the anti-immigrant rhetoric more mainstream and seem less like fringe and less extreme.
Yeah. I mean, these rhetorics are making people think that it's okay to commit crimes against certain groups, and it's making people think that it's enticing people to want to commit these crimes because our president and our popular and our, really big newscasters and all these people in power and in live at Fox, like on Fox News and having major shows, are making it seem like it's okay by rambling on these people.
Yeah.
Like as we saw in the El Paso shooting.
Yeah. So basically, we're almost running out of time. So everybody, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. This, I think, was our 10th episode of just normal CamelCast. So,
Woo!
And make sure to like and subscribe if you have any thoughts or agreements or disagreements with our show. Please just write them in the comments, and we will probably see them and probably respond as well. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.